Hello and welcome back to Dino Joe's Dinosaur Model Blog, where today I'm reviewing my pterosaur models. Pterosaurs were a group of reptiles that lived at a similar time to dinosaurs, but they are not to be mistaken as dinosaurs. My first pterosaur model is Pteranodon itself. This model is made by Papa and has a very realistic look, with its coarse, rough-looking skin. Its face is a sort of happy expression, and it's a nice model overall. Next, I have my Quetzalcoatlus model from Schleich. This model is one of two Quetzalcoatlus models by Schleich, and this one's the older of the two and also the larger. I slightly prefer this one because it has a nice skeletal colour scheme, and also the smaller new one has been lazily given exactly the same pose, and you'll see that in a second. So I like this one a lot. It's a nice size and it's been painted very well. And here is the new one. This one had exactly the same sculpt design. Obviously it is a different sculpt, but it is just the same design. My other Quetzalcoatlus is by Collector and is in an already landed pose, and I think it's quite dynamic, although the wings look a bit short. It has a really gruesome feature as well. It's eating a baby sauropod, which is a very nice touch as well, although quite gruesome and also realistic, since Hatzegopteryx did feed on Magyarosaurus. Okay, so next is Collector's Hatzegopteryx, and sorry, this is the one that ate Magyarosaurus actually, not Quetzalcoatlus, but that one's eating a sauropod anyway. But yes, this is the one that ate Magyarosaurus, and this one has a really nice colour scheme, slightly better than the Quetzalcoatlus, and it's also got a really nice sculpt, and I think it's a quite good model, and it's nice that it's in this pose too. Okay, so next I've got Schleich's Anhanguero, and this one has a slightly odd colour scheme, although it is quite nicely painted, but I just find it's an odd colour scheme for a pterosaur. It's also got a kind of static pose, although it's supposed to look like it's flying, but it just looks a bit odd. And I like it, but its uniquely shaped head is sculpted really well. And then next I've got my favourite pterosaur model, which is Topoxara. It's also my smallest model too, and has a very dynamic pose, despite being so small. And it's got a lot of detail too, and as usual with Papo, they've done the pose very well. And I think the crest is really well sculpted, and overall it's just a high quality model, and it was pretty cheap as well because it's so small. Next I have two models by Wild Safari, first of which being Tapehara, which is quite similar to Topoxara, although it has a larger crest and is a bit more famous. I really like the colour scheme and its uniquely shaped head again. I think it's been painted really well, and it did have a problem though when it arrived. So its wings were bent, and I had to use rubber bands to bend it back into shape, although that wasn't really the company's fault. So yeah, so it's a really nice model, but it could be in a landing pose like the Topoxara. And my second pterosaur model by Wild Safari is Rhamphorhynchus. This one has a really nicely sculpted beak and teeth because it was a fishing pterosaur, and I think it's really nicely coloured. I love the orangey red wings, and it's got quite a nice pose. Even when it's laid down, the wings are held up really high and it looks quite nice too. So yeah, I think it's an average quality model, and yeah. So next I've got my really large pterosaur models, both by Collector, and yeah, so the first is Guy Draco, and it is really tall. So it's really detailed, and it's actually higher, well, it's almost as tall as my Brachiosaurus, so this is a really enormous model. And instead of being in the 1 to 30 scale, or 1 to 40, like a lot of my other pterosaur models, this one's in a 1 to 4 scale. So it's a truly huge model, and it's really detailed because it's so large. And I really like the colour scheme, and it goes right into the details of its teeth and its fur too. So I think it's very well done, especially the crest. So coming up next is my other large pterosaur model, also by Collector. This time it's Dimorphodon, and this one is possibly better. And this one is also very large, although I don't think it's in the 1 to 4, I think it was 1 to 10, because Guy Draco was quite a small pterosaur. And it's almost as large as Guy Draco. It's longer, but nowhere near as tall. And I think it's got an even nicer colour scheme, and also has loads of detail. I like its black eyes as well. I think they've done that quite well. And just generally the face is very good. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and goodbye for now.